Academic writing instructors, I wanted to start a 3-week discussion on the COG documents, or Course Outcome Guide documents, that have been developed for Writing 101. In this conference, you'll see 3 documents attached, and this video will take you through what some of the documents represent. Format. The first document is the Course Outcomes Guide. Every class at UMUC is developing a course outcomes guide. These represent the revised course outcomes for the Segway process. This is the course outcome guide, or COG, for Writing 101. First, I want to show you the current course goals for Writing 101. We have 11 of them. Every class is developing more focused and fewer course goals for the Segway process. What we discussed at our COG meeting for Writing 101 is we proposed 4 writing outcomes. 1, apply the writing process to develop essays using various rhetorical patterns in order to persuade, inform and persuade an audience. And number 2 is construct unified, coherent, and well-supported paragraphs using principles of persuasion and exposition. 3 is demonstrate accurate grammar and mechanics, and 4 is analyze source material in order to integrate valid and reliable sources, etc. I want to point out to you the strategy behind these 4 outcomes. Stern and Solomon wrote a paper in 2006, Effective Faculty Feedback, The Road Less Traveled. They conducted a study on faculty feedback to writing. I won't get into the details of the study, but I want to scroll down to the method they used in analyzing teachers' responses to students' writing. They divided responses into 4 categories. The global level, the middle level, and the micro level, and finally the other comments. Global level refers to the overall quality of the paper, the writing style, the paper structure, the organization, etc., the creativity of the voice. I would add, whether the topic itself is too broad or maybe perhaps too narrow. These would be global issues. Middle level issues refer to the quality of specific thoughts and claims, some of the supporting evidence for the claims, the request for content clarification, paragraph and sentence structure or style. I personally would think sentence structure would go to the next level, the micro level. I think of the paragraph level as the middle level. But let's go down to the last, rather the third category. The micro level had to do with word choice, phrasing, had to do with missing words and pieces, grammar and punctuation, spelling, etc. They also talked about references and citations being in the micro level issues. Well, we divided the writing outcomes for Writing 101 into these 4 categories. Outcome 1 is a global level outcome. Apply the writing process to develop essays, etc., etc. Outcome 2 is a middle level outcome. Unified, well-constructed, and coherent paragraphs. Outcome 3 is a micro level outcome. Demonstrate accurate grammar and mechanics in writing. And outcome 4 is really a research-supported research outcome. It's not really global, middle, or micro. It's simply related to research. And we thought, using the present literature on writing feedback, including the taxonomy from Stern and Solomon, these would be helpful ways of dividing the outcomes for Writing 101. Now, next to these are the program outcomes and UMUC hallmarks. You don't have to know what these represent. These are codes, mostly for our Center for Teaching and Learning unit that's documenting all this for us. The assessments are what students are going to do to test or assess their ability in each outcome. So for outcome 1, apply the writing process, etc., etc. These are the things the students are going to do to show their ability in that outcome. Outcome 2, these are the things their students are going to do. Outcome 3, these are the items their students are going to complete, etc. This last column here are the core concepts, skills, and issues students will need to learn or deal with in order to learn or accomplish these outcomes. These can be concepts like pre-writing and audience and point of view. These could be skills like how to focus on a topic. These could be issues like how to deal with plagiarism. All 3, concepts, skills, and issues, are included in this final column, and they're not necessarily connected to any particular course outcome. They're actually related to all 4 course outcomes. So that's how you read this document, and I just wanted to give that introduction to you. I did want to mention the proposed course description for Writing 101. It includes practice in effective writing and clear thinking at all levels, including the sentence and paragraph levels, with emphasis on the essay and on integrating research into one's writing. Specific steps reviewed within the writing process include formulating purpose, identifying an audience, selecting and using research resources, and selecting and applying patterns of development. Revision and recursive writing practice are emphasized and encouraged. Assignments include comparison, contrast, and research essays, as well as other rhetorical tasks. And this would lead us now into the specific writing assignments for the proposed revision of Writing 101. The other document that has been posted is called the Writing 101 syllabus, and it repeats the course description that I just showed to you and the 4 course outcomes that I just read to you from the previous document. The introduction has been revised a bit. You can take a look at that, but what you might be especially interested in is seeing that we now have 2 essays for Writing 101 in our proposed revision. One is a comparison contrast essay in which students compare and contrast 2 articles. Now, we've discussed whether to make these articles available to them at the beginning of the semester so that they have articles given to them that they have to compare and contrast, or do they go out and find articles? Some of this relates to the amount of time students would have in preparing the first draft of this essay. The next essay is the research-supported essay, and there's a brief description of that. But I do want to mention 2 points about both of these essays. Both have written, this essay will be written in at least 2 drafts. The proposed revision of Writing 101 for Segue in the 8-week format will embed the research process right into the class. As a matter of fact, if you look at the grading information, Essay 1 Comparison Contrast wrote in parentheses, I've written all drafts, meaning first draft, second draft, if there's a third draft, these all would total 25%. For Essay 2, all drafts would total 45%. Participation is proposed to be 20%, and final exam, of course, is mandated to be 10%. We decided to stick with the final exam because adding some final project to Writing 101 would have added another a writing assignment, and we thought it would be problematic to have students write a research-supported essay in which they're trying to culminate the skills that they've learned and write another project on top of that. We thought the final exam worked better for this model. Third document that you've had posted to this conference is the 8-week schedule. And as you can see, under Segue, for 8-week courses, the velocity of the class is going to be higher. Students, we suggested some reading material for the students. What they have to do, which is there's going to be conferences every week, of course, and the bold-faced, italicized do item is really related to an essay. If it was related to an essay or an assignment of some sort, I bold-faced it and italicized it. So they're going to submit the pre-writing activity for Essay 1. It will be an outline. It's possibly a bulleted list. Some instructors like to assign outlines. Some instructors have different types of pre-writing activities they like to assign. A pre-writing activity, and I mentioned 2 sources provided by the instructor here. Again, that was something we discussed at our COG meeting that can be fleshed out more as we discuss this revision of the course. The 2 articles that the students are going to compare and contrast. And these are some of the concepts and skills they have to know. Well, for week 2, they would read this amount of material and submit the first draft of Essay 1. And then, of course, for week 3, they would submit the pre-writing activity for Essay 2 and receive the feedback from the first draft of Essay 1. In week 4, they would submit the revised draft of Essay 1. In week 5, they would submit a draft of Essay 2. In week 6, they would receive feedback from the instructor on the first draft of Essay 2 and begin working on its revised draft. Week 7, they would submit a revised draft of Essay 2, and of course, as you know, student dynamics are different. Some students, I've had students who have needed 3 or 4 drafts of an essay because they really botched the first attempt and didn't really follow the instructions. So you're going to get varying levels of student ability and a minimum of 2 drafts, I would say, for each writing assignment. But I just went through the writing assignments. I didn't even mention the different conferences one would do. The final exam, of course, is week 8, and you'd have a conference to review for the final exam, as well as perhaps to collect any final drafts during that week as well. So the class will have lots of velocity, lots of emphasis on the writing process, lots of emphasis on exposition and persuasion, and a focus on, the writing process for sure. Hopefully this has been helpful for you in understanding the segue process in general, and specifically the process for Writing 101. We look forward to the next few weeks of discussion. Thanks very much.